Hello, good evening, everyone, and welcome. It is Monday, October 13th, 2025, and this is your Monday night true crime docket brought to you by Courtroom Confidential, the fastest growing true crime news channel on YouTube. We're growing fast. In fact, we can see it, we can smell it, 60,000 subscribers. So please tell your friends, tell your loved ones, tell them to subscribe. If you haven't already, please subscribe now. Get us over that next new what do we want to call it? Accomplishment, goal. Thank you everybody for being here. Who do I see? I see TU Toys. Hello, my friend. Just a Crazy Jen, Katrina Bunny, Caratish, Laura Waldy, Ms. B, Alicia K, Mayo, Afton, Chris Hancock. Thank you everybody for being here. Thank you to all the folks who are here every single time we show up. We appreciate all of your support. And to everybody who's new, if this is your first time, welcome. Let me introduce myself. My name is Joshua Ritter. I'm a former prosecutor with the LA District Attorney's Office, and now I am a private defense attorney. This is Courtroom Confidential, where we try to give you both sides of every issue, both sides of the courtroom. We hope that we do that. And this is our live Monday night true crime docket. We're going to take a look at the week ahead and also look at things that took place late last week or over the weekend. And actually some things did take place over the weekend. A lot to cover for this evening. So we're talking about Kouri Richins and Luigi Mangione and Bionca Ellis and Courtney Clenney and Matthew Farwell and Shanna Gardner. And I'm just only naming a handful, a lot of cases to get into tonight. We're going to try to get through all of them in the time that I have given us to do that. But first, some really big news today and two cases that we've all been following very closely. First of all, Donna Adelson was sentenced earlier today. If you didn't see that, don't worry about it. I'm going to show you some clips. It was not without its own drama, not without its own ridiculousness, quite frankly. We were all wondering who was going to speak and what were they going to say, and we were not disappointed with the ongoing incredible, what do you want to call it, narcissism of this family. I guess that's the best way to put it, the nicest way to put it, the ongoing kind of failure to accept any kind of responsibility from this family. It was pretty wild. I will say I was shocked, but I don't want to oversell it. But I was shocked by some of the things that took place in court. So we're going to watch a couple of those things and talk about it, answer some questions if you have them. Laura Waldy, thank you so much for kicking us off with a gift of a membership. I hope whoever receives that enjoys it. And then also breaking news today in the Ellen Greenberg case. I don't want to bury the lead too much, but the medical examiner who had done an independent review did come out with their results, and shockingly, they have continued to classify her death as a suicide. And so we can go into that and what are the reasons for it. So a lot for us to cover. Like I said, stay to the very end for announcements. We do have some interesting things coming up this week, including some guests that we're going to have to talk about exactly those cases that I just mentioned to you. But before I do that, take a moment right now to hit the like button, subscribe if you haven't already. And if you know anybody who might enjoy this episode, please share it with them. All right, let's jump into Donna Adelson first. So she was in court today to be sentenced. Now, this should have gone relatively routinely because she's looking at life without parole. She was charged with a capital crime. In Florida, you're either going to get the death penalty or you're going to get life without parole if you're charged and convicted for that crime. Death penalty was not on the table, so she was looking at life without parole. And that's what everybody expected to happen. And that is, again, what did happen. But a sentencing hearing is her opportunity for anyone who cares about her, any of the people who are standing by her, to speak to the judge and to ask for leniency and to ask for the judge to show some mercy and compassion. And this happens quite often in cases, even when it is kind of a preordained result. People speak and people want to have their moment to be heard. And the victim's family wants to have their moment to be heard. And I'm going to show you some clips today, and I already want to apologize to you because this case should be all about Dan Markel and the loss of his life and the devastation to his family. But today it became very Donna Adelson centric. And I think it's important that you hear the words from her, the words from her husband, Harvey. As much as I don't want to make it about her, today really was about her. It was her sentencing for the crimes that she's committed and been convicted of. So let's just jump into it. I want to show you some video. I don't want to take forever doing it. And then we can talk about it. We could talk about what the attorneys argued and what the judge ultimately sentenced her to. But let's go ahead and take first a look at Harvey got up to speak. Harvey is her husband. And he came out of the gate. He came out of the gate kind of hot. So let's take a look at what he had to say to the judge.
Thank you, Judge, and respected officers of the court for allowing me to speak. I have been Donna Adelson's husband for over 50 years. My wife sacrificed everything so that she could pour her heart and soul into our children, our grandchildren, and our marriage. This summer was our 54th wedding anniversary, and I had to spend it without her, hand in mind. She has done nothing wrong, and yet is being punished for a crime that she did not commit. I thought we lived in a different kind of world, but I guess I was wrong. I have listened, watched, and sat in the courtroom for the entire trial, and I could not help but scream in my mind by the witnesses that were brought forward by the prosecution who told outright lies. I didn't know that you could lie in a courtroom, but apparently you can. Danny's parents contend that they have never seen their grandchild. But for years they say they've never seen her. But Wendy has shared with me pictures and videos and letters from their visits. They have suffered immensely at the loss of their son, but they also contend to tell lies to the court about our grandchildren. Donna has always been a loving and caring wife and is innocent of the charges. A biased judge and jury were influenced by years of one-sided news pieces and social media.
Dr. Ms. Fulford, this has nothing to do with the character of the defendant or relates to sentencing.
May I just a moment, please?
Go ahead.
Okay, we're going to stop it there because Fulford eventually steps in and kind of chastises, not chastises, helps him gather his notes a little bit here. But I mean, already right off the bat, it started off fine. That is the point of a sentencing hearing. You're allowed to go in there and talk about the character of the accused, the character of the convicted, pardon me, what she means to you, a loving mother, all of that stuff. I got no quarrel with any of that. But then he goes into everybody's a liar, and everybody lied, and everybody who took the stand lied. And then the incredible gall of this man and the people he wants to identify as the liars are the Markells. I mean, my jaw dropped when what does he say is the big lie that's been perpetrated on this court is that the Markells say they've not seen their grandchildren. And he says, well, that's not true. They're liars. We've got pictures with them with their grandkids. What kind of a person are you if that is what you choose in this moment to highlight? You're going to call the people who your wife murdered liars. Pardon me, the people's whose son your wife murdered liars. It was just appalling to me. Then he lights into the judge. The judge is biased. The whole thing's biased. This whole courtroom's got bias and problems and liars and everything else. And the judge, God, I love Stephen Everett. He steps in and he's like, what are we doing here? This is not the airing of grievances. This is not the time for you to tell us all about, relitigate the case. What do you got to say about Donna? Keep it to that. So that's why the judge interrupted. And I love that the judge gave him the shortest of leashes on this. Didn't let him go on. I mean, I'm sure the guy was trying to speed through his comments here, but cut it off super quick. One more thing I'll point out. These were prepared comments. This was not extemporaneous. He's got notes. The attorneys have looked over the notes. They knew what he was going to try to get away with. Now, that's either bad client management, and he said, I want to say what I want to say, or they just thought, let's see how much we can get away with here. Well, you don't get away with a whole bunch when it comes to Judge Stephen Everett. All right. Let's get back to seeing more of this ridiculous statement here, if I can figure out the technology. I'm going to do this. I'm going to get this done smoothly. So they go back and forth. He's sitting there waiting for them to edit their notes. It's pretty incredible how much time they took to do this. All right, now he's back. Now he's back on the stand.
All right, thank you for letting me continue. Donna did not participate in the heinous acts that she was convicted of doing. You are sending an innocent woman to prison. You have taken my wife, and you have taken my life as well. And for what? This is not justice. It is vengeance, and it is wrong.
You have an examination for Dr. Adelson.
No, Your Honor.
All right, so that's his statement. I love that I don't know why they're angry at the judge. They seem to really take issue with the judge here. You can tell that this is kind of conversations Donna and Harvey have had, and now they're really going to give him a good talking to in court. It was just lame and weak and sad, and all of the things that made you understand exactly the type of character that these people are, that they would commit this type of crime. None of it should have really shocked us. All right. Then Donna gets an opportunity to speak. Her statement went on for quite a bit, and I'm not going to torture you all with all of it. I just want to give you a couple of quick clips here. So let me see if I can't do this.
Danny would have given them if he were alive.
Oh yeah, she starts out with, by the way, you want to talk about gall. She starts out with explaining to the whole courtroom what a tragedy it is that Dan Markel lost his life and how we all grieve and the loss of this man that she loved so much. Just the absolute disconnect from reality, the absolute untethered from what we've all witnessed over the last few weeks in the trial. But okay, do you, Donna?
It is interesting how the state can't make up its mind about who is what they call the, quote, mastermind behind this murder. In both of Catherine Magbanaw's trials, the state claimed she was the mastermind behind Danny's murder. In my son Charlie Adelson's trial, they claimed he was the mastermind. And now in my trial, they claimed that I, this grandma, was the mastermind behind the murder. I had no idea that other people planned to cut Danny's life short. And the people who did this are exactly where they deserve to be. But I had no knowledge that this horrible, evil act was going to take place. If I had become aware of this plan before Danny was murdered, I would have stopped it. With not one iota of actual evidence, the state convinced a Tallahassee jury that I solicited and conspired with other people to have Danny killed. Where is the evidence prior to the murder? The evidence beyond a reasonable doubt that the state needed to prove their case. Where is the evidence before July 18th, 2014 at 10:50 in the morning?
Before you continue,
Now, this is what's incredible about this. And let's finish letting Judge.
Adelson, as it relates to this statement, is the defense trying to re-argue the trial?
No, Judge, just giving Adelson an opportunity to be heard.
Okay, so that was important there. So the judge, again, he's like, what are we doing here? What are we doing? Are we trying to relitigate this trial? Are you trying to give another closing argument here? You know, I just love that he didn't allow them to suck up all the air in the room. It is, you know, I started this out by saying this was about her, but he was going to make sure just because it was about her, she didn't control how things went. And I appreciate him doing that. A lot of judges would have in this moment, just let her have her thing. Just whatever. Say what you got to say, lady. I know I'm sending you to prison for the rest of your life. This is probably the last time you'll get this opportunity. Go ahead and say what you're going to say. But he says no to that nonsense and cuts him off and goes, I'm not going to sit through this crap. And what I love about this moment too, is you remember when she was convicted, her reaction in court when the guilty verdict came out. And I said this, I thought that was shock. And this is why. She believes to this day they haven't proven the case. She's saying, where's the evidence before the murder that I knew anything about it? Before any of that, where is that evidence? That is what was going through her head through the weeks leading up to trial and during the trial, that she didn't believe they had a case here and that they couldn't prove it. So the judge cuts him off, says, what are we doing here? This is not the opportunity to relitigate this in the kindest way that he possibly can. Fulford steps in and basically says they just want to be heard. And I love how he listen to his comments that he says here and watch how she responds to it.
Mrs. Adelson, you certainly can continue. However, the court can take into consideration the utter lack of remorse that you are displaying. Please proceed if you desire to do so.
Where is the evidence?
I can take into consideration the utter lack of remorse that you're displaying here. In other words, I'm warning you, if you want any kind of chance, slim as it may be, of me showing you mercy, this is not the road you should be going down. This is not the tree you should be barking up. And that micro gesture on her face of whatever, dude. And then she just continues right along. I'm telling you, you have witnessed the most entitled people on earth. Regardless, this is what her attorneys had to deal with for the weeks that they were dealing with her. You give someone advice, you tell them they're shooting themselves in the foot, and she looks at you like how dare you address me as she reloads the gun.
Before July 18th, 2014 at 10:50 a.m. that revealed that I had any involvement in this vile and horrific act. Where is the solicitation and conspiracy evidence? The state needed to show that there was evidence before the murder to convict me. The state couldn't show that because there wasn't any evidence. They were trying an innocent person. It makes you wonder if the jurors were sleeping when the state had Sergeant Corbett on the stand for hours. Their own star witness testified that my phone was never, I repeat, never at my son's house on the night of the murder. The state's theory that my husband and I dropped off money to my son was blown out of the water by their own witness. And yet, the state continued to push that story, that lie of the so-called money drop, to the jury through the remainder of the trial. And the jury bought into it, hook, line, and sinker. Reasonable doubt.
All right. I just wanted to show a little bit more of how she just, it became a lot more clear to me psychologically who this person is and why she was so shocked with that verdict. She thought she was going to win. People who are this entitled never think the world's going to go against them because it never has before. And why should it now? All right, let's get to just her final comments. I'm not going to torture you guys anymore on this. Just a couple more minutes.
What happened to Danny is unforgivable, but I am an innocent woman convicted of this terrible crime without evidence. Danny was a brilliant legal scholar. He would have been appalled at the total lack of justice that went on during my trial. He would have been embarrassed to have his name associated with any of it. There are two crimes here. The first was Danny being viciously murdered. The second one is taking my life, the life of an innocent woman. Convicting me should not be retribution for Danny's death. That is not justice for Dan. I've always respected the law. I've never gotten a parking ticket, but I'm going to prison for a murder I did not commit. I do intend to file an appeal so that hopefully I have the opportunity to be given a fair trial outside of Tallahassee. 11 years ago, Danny was murdered and taken from all of us who loved him. For the past 9.5 years, the state has broadcast to the world, including Danny's parents and sister, that I hired hitmen to kill him. Never in a million years would I have wanted Danny to be harmed or killed, nor could I ever do something that would leave these two small boys to grow up without him. I love these boys more than life itself. This is a lifetime of loss for these children. They didn't deserve this. His family didn't deserve this. Danny didn't deserve this. And so, as I appear before you today, Your Honor, I promise you with my whole heart, I swear to you on my life, I was not involved in any way with Danny's murder. I was not.
Defense have any further arguments to make?
Yes, Judge.
All right. That's the end of the clip I'm going to show you there. I just, here's the thing. And Farm Girl, thank you so much for gifting the membership. Appreciate you. Appreciate everybody for all your support. She didn't have to speak. Neither did Harvey. She could have stood up and said, Your Honor, I grieve the loss of Dan Markel, but I had nothing to do with this. But she wanted this moment. And I don't know what she thought she was going to get out of it. Did she think she was going to affect the judge? Did she think that there's a grand movement of people who feel that this was some sort of cover-up and conspiracy to frame her? No idea. I'm continue to be fascinated with the psychology of this family and this woman. And God bless the Markel family for having to sit through this and put up with it. And I hope them, continued healing and renewed peace now that, another chapter in this case is over. So Jackie Fulford, their attorneys did make a request for the judge for what's called a downward departure. That is a kind of a discretionary thing that the judge can use to, when you have a mandatory minimum, a judge can find extenuating circumstances, mitigating circumstances to go below that. It's incredibly rare. At least it's rare for where I practice, and I think it's rare in Florida as well. And that I also found it interesting that they continue to throw Charlie under the bus. They said the real masterminds in this case were Charlie and Katie McBenoit. They've been found guilty. That the judge should realize justice has been done by finding them guilty, and give mercy to Donna Adelson. Judge Stephen Everett, my spirit animal, had none of it. He denied the downward departure. He did sentence her to life without parole, plus 30 years on counts 2 and 3 to run concurrent to each other, but consecutive to the murder. So if you can do the math on that, she's going to do life without parole plus 30 years. She's never getting out. So, no shock there as far as the sentencing, but maybe a little bit of surprises as far as what we got out of Donna in court today. Ms. B says, why wasn't she wearing her headphones? Well, she had a miracle of miracles. Her hearing returned to her. I know this was a big question. Afton asked, what is the difference between sworn and unsworn statements from the defendant? She refused to be sworn today. The answer is not a whole bunch. Sworn testimony, sworn statements are only therefore admissible as evidence. And I think that she was trying to take advantage of some sort of opportunity to not allow this to be, perjury charges, sworn statement. I guess there's some sort of Fifth Amendment concern still at play that she's still going to appeal this. But it wasn't that big of a deal. And even the judge, after reading some case law on it, found that, yes, they're entitled to do that. It doesn't change anything. Is this going to affect her appeal? No. Is this going to give her some sort of advantage? No. It just is not, quote unquote, I guess there's the argument to be made that if down the road she can say that she never gave sworn testimony on this and doesn't open up any kind of Fifth Amendment issue, and she can't be impeached upon it if she were to ever testify again down the road. Don't give it more than a second thought. It really was not that a big a deal. Oh, this is interesting. Never forget, Cody Hardwick says, could Donna have been cross-examined after her statement? I mean, these are considered witness testimonies. They can be cross-examined. I suppose Kappelman could have taken advantage of it. Maybe that is why they chose not to have her swear her testimony. End of the day, Kappelman handled this perfectly. Don't get involved. Don't pile on. Don't breathe more air into this nonsense than needed to happen. Let me see if there's any other questions here. Emily Flotilla says, shouldn't her defense team have reviewed those statements before this? I think they did. I think they were just, there's a couple of things at play. I think these people don't listen to them. I think Donna does not listen to her attorneys, and I think Harvey probably the same. Or I think they just said, go for it and see what you can't get away with. So maybe they reviewed it. It sounds like they knew what was in there. I mean, I saw her kind of flipping the pages for her. I can't imagine that they never reviewed it, but I don't know what the conversations were, obviously, about whether or not she can say those things. Alicia K. Mayo says, any opinion on successful appeal, Joshua? And Chihuahua Mama says, what are the chances of her getting a new trial? I would say 0 and zilch for both. Getting a new trial, no. Was there any error that was so blatant that took place that is entitling her to a new trial? Absolutely not. Judge Everett, I think, handled it remarkably. Doesn't mean they won't ask for it. Doesn't mean they won't make motions for it. There's a big difference between making a motion for something and actually winning it. And the same goes to the question about a successful appeal. She can appeal, and she's going to. She's going to appeal the change of venue. We already saw that coming. She's going to appeal the, the ability to properly voir dire the jurors. She's going to appeal the use of jailhouse informants. She's going to appeal the use of the telephone calls, the emails between her and her daughter, all of these things. All of these things that you heard objections about will become grounds for appeal. The idea that she wasn't given enough time to decide whether or not she wants to testify, all of that will be, quote unquote, grounds for appeal. But to Alicia K. Mayo's question, successfully, I think not. I don't think I saw anything in this that I thought there is actual teeth behind the arguments there. I think it's a lot of just what we see in most of these cases. They throw everything at the wall, hoping they get some favorable, friendly judge down the road, and none of it really sticks, including what Little Miss Red Velvet here asks about. Can she go for ineffective assistance of counsel? That'll be grounds for appeal as well. They do. You're an appellate attorney. You figure out every possible thing you can argue. You throw it all at the Court of Appeals, and maybe the Court of Appeals says, we will consider these 3 things and allow you to make argument on those. And then you try to argue those. But that's why you see objections being made during trial. They're just trying to preserve these things for appeal because you never know what might have a puncher's chance. In my view, none of them. All right, we're going to talk more about this on Wednesday, by the way. Stay tuned. Wednesday Night Live, back on this channel, we're going to have Joel Waldman, who is kind of my go-to Donna Adelson expert. There he is, looking smart with the glasses. Don't let that fool you. And he's going to talk to us about his thoughts on today and some other stuff that we're going to cover with him. But he, I'm sure, has got some even more snarky statements about what took place today than even I do. So stay tuned for that. In the meantime, another incredible development today in the Ellen Greenberg case. As you know, the way things stood is that Josh and Sandy Greenberg had sued the city of Philadelphia, and all they really wanted was an independent review done of their daughter's case because they feel like it was botched from the beginning, and I couldn't agree more. We had Gavin Fish on our show not too long ago, and he's very close with the Greenberg family, and he talked about what are they looking for? Are they looking for a murder investigation opened up? And he said, no, not even really. They just want an honest review of this case, and they just want the world to know that their daughter didn't take her own life. Well, they got part of what they wanted. They did get an independent review done, but the results of that were not what they were looking for. And I imagine this is hard for them to deal with and crushing to them. And I'm going to try to have Gavin back on. I'm sure he's talking about this for a while now. This is a case he's been following very closely because the medical examiner, the Philadelphia chief medical examiner, Lindsay Simon, did a independent review of the autopsy and reports done on Ellen Greenberg. I'm going to read you some excerpts from the 32-page review, which was released on the 10th, apparently, but now it's just come to light. There was reporting on it today. She says that the medical examiner's office was asked to conduct an independent and unbiased review of all available materials relating to the death of Ellen Greenberg, and that they reviewed extensive records, including reports from Wecht, Ross, and Thomas Brennan, all people who were involved in the case, and the private investigator hired by the Greenbergs to look into this case. So they looked through everything, including evidence that wasn't looked at the first time around, which would be anything provided by that private investigator. This is a quote. I mean, really think about this quote, which I'm about to read to you here. While the distribution of injuries is admittedly unusual, the fact remains that Ellen would be capable of inflicting these injuries herself. It goes on to note that she was a young woman suffering from anxiety. She then goes on to say the fiance, his name is Sam Goldberg, the fiance's DNA was not detected on the knife used to inflict the injuries, and that there was no evidence of an abusive relationship between them, and no findings of a struggle were found at the scene. With all of this information considered, it is the opinion of the undersigned that the manner of Ellen Greenberg's death is best classified as suicide. Shocking, shocking stuff. I know a lot of people are devastated by this. A lot of people are shocked. A lot of people are very bothered by all of this. A lot of people think that this is just kind of a continued conspiracy theory and corruption run rampant. I don't know anything about Lindsay Simon. I am not going to, throw her under the bus. But if this was independent and unbiased, it is obviously something that I think is devastating to people who've been following this case closely. The part that stood out to me the most was that quote, while the distribution of injuries is admittedly unusual, and here's the distribution of injuries, by the way, unusual to say the least. The fact remains, this is the quote, that Ellen would be capable of inflicting these injuries herself. And that's the part that was so kind of shocking to me, that there are many people, including experts and people more qualified to give opinions on this than myself, who said there's no way she could inflict those injuries. And that, in fact, there were injuries that would have made her incapable of the other injuries that we saw in her. What I mean by that is this. And again, I want to have some people back on our show, including Joseph Scott Morgan, to talk about this. He's much more qualified than me. When she was found, there was a knife still in her chest. We have to assume that was the last wound inflicted. If you're going to say it was inflicted by her, that would be the last one, right? Obviously. But there was a wound found on the back of her neck that, according to one of the examiners, made contact with or inflicted injury to her spinal cord in such a way that they would have believed it would have rendered her paralyzed to have stabbed herself further. You go ahead and read through the lines of all of that if she had inflicted this wound on her neck that struck her spinal cord, she would have dropped to the ground immediately and not been able to stab herself in the chest. Either that expert's analysis was wrong, and according to this medical examiner, I have to imagine they considered that, or she was murdered, right? I mean, that's the only other way that you can physically imagine this taking place, is someone else inflicted those wounds on her. Again, I do my best to really not play into kind of conspiracy theory and cover-ups and everything else here, and I hope that you guys appreciate that. But I am really surprised by this finding. I thought at the very most we were going to see some sort of finding of indeterminate, undeterminable, more investigation needs to be done. I think asking for homicide was not entirely outside of the realm of possibility, but may have been stretching. But I'm surprised that it came back with all this information considered, quote, "It is the opinion of the undersigned that the manner of Ellen Greenberg's death is best classified as suicide." So there you go. Again, stay tuned. I'm going to be talking with Joel about this, I'm sure, on Wednesday. We're going to try to get Gavin Fish back. We're going to try to get Joseph Scott Morgan to weigh in on this, but a result that I feel bad for Josh and Sandy Greenberg, that this is where things lie for them. Let me see if we have any questions on this. Katrina Bunny says, so the medical examiner's office reevaluated their own autopsy. How is that an independent review? I mean, listen, I get it, guys. Afton says, is the agency reviewing its own decision really independent? I get it. The Shell says, did they have to get an independent review in Philly? Couldn't they go to a different county or even state? Well, first of all, let me say this. I am not trying to defend or take a position on any of this. Could they have? Shell? Sure, I imagine. Is it an independent autopsy if it's done by the same agency? It absolutely could be independent. Could it also be influenced by the prior decisions? Absolutely, it could be influenced by the prior decisions. I mean, if the question is, do I think this is possible for it to be independent? I do. Do I think it's also possible for it to have been corrupted by prior influence and political pressure? I absolutely do as well. The end of the day, the order from the judge was to do exactly what they did. And that was to have the medical examiner in Philadelphia do a brand new and independent review. In fact, that is what the quote is. They were asked to conduct an independent and unbiased review of all available materials resulting in the death of Ellen Greenberg. And that is what the Greenbergs agreed to in their settlement with the city. And now they've gotten that. And that is not the results that they were hoping for. I get it, everybody. I share in your shock and I share in your dismay. Jojo Tink RN says, is this the end of the line for the Greenbergs? Are there any other actions they can take? Well, I mean, if you've got unlimited funds, I imagine they can take more action. But I mean, here's the thing. Here's a really sad thing to think about. Let's say they had all the money in the world. And my understanding is they've basically spent through everything they ever saved in their entire life to get to this point. But let's say they had all the money in the world and they were able to hire all sorts of independent medical examiners to take a look at this who had nothing to do with Philadelphia. They were provided with all the materials and they came out and they said, my opinion is this was not suicide. This was homicide. Where does that get them? I mean, maybe that is all they want out of this, but where does that get them? The police aren't going to open up an investigation based on that. The DA's office isn't going to change their mind on all of this. I think that this sadly is the end of the road for them. And that's, my heart breaks for these people and what they've gone through over the past, 10 plus years dealing with all of this. Anyhow, shocking stuff. Like I said, give me some time to get together some guests who are more qualified to talk about all these things. Mandy, thank you so much for the super chat. All right. Let's get through the other cases. Oh, God, I've used up all our time. I'm going to go quickly through the other cases that made kind of headlines and what to expect for this week. So coming up, well, first of all, last week on Thursday, Kouri Richins, her attorneys filed a motion to compel the sister of Eric Richins. Her name is Katie Richins Benson. They want to know about where she's been spending money with his trust. Here's some quotes from their motion. Both public testimony at the preliminary hearing of this matter and Ms. Richins Benson's written objections to the subpoena confirmed that at least 2 of the state's witnesses in this case have also been paid employees of the trust. They're saying there's some sort of conflict here. You've got the trust paying these people, and they're also witnesses for the prosecution. We want to get to the bottom of that. Will that go anywhere? Probably not. But it does show, I think, the continued kind of aggressive nature of Kouri Richins' defense team. On Saturday, Luigi Mangione's defense team, also headed up by a couple of really heavy hitters in Karen Friedman Agnifilo and her husband, Mark Agnifilo. Mark just came off of the Sean Diddy Combs case. They have filed a motion to dismiss the federal case, specifically the charges that make him eligible for the death penalty. They are arguing that it stretches the federal statutes beyond their intent and that the feds have engaged in overreach meant to sensationalize the killing. Again, I don't think these arguments are entirely outrageous. This is for the murder of Brian Thompson, the healthcare CEO. There's a little bit of an argument here that the feds might be trying to square peg round holes in this case, but we will see. They're also making objections on Miranda rights. They're saying that he wasn't advised, Mangione wasn't advised of his rights before he was interviewed at the McDonald's. Are you really in custody when you're sitting in a McDonald's? Not so much. Hard to say that you don't have, that you are somehow not free to leave when you're sitting there munching on a Big Mac. And they're also saying that it was an illegal search conducted of his bag, that they didn't have a warrant, and therefore it's an illegal search. Again, no shocker. Whenever you've got a warrantless search, you're going to have some sort of Fourth Amendment challenge. That was on Saturday. Coming up tomorrow, Bionca Ellis, horrific stabbing murder of 3-year-old Julian Wood in front of his mother, Margot Wood. Closing arguments are expected to take place tomorrow. This has come down to a battle of the experts. The defense called a woman by the name of Dr. Sarah West. She said that that Bionca Ellis was suffering from schizophrenia, which caused her to experience auditory hallucinations at the time, and therefore she didn't know what she was doing. The prosecution, in rebuttal, called Dr. Stephen Knopfsinger, right out of Central Casting, who said that her schizophrenia, though she does have it, did not prevent her from knowing right from wrong. This is an excellent point about insanity cases. Just because you have a mental illness does not make you per se insane. That he went on to explain how she went to the police station earlier that day to collect her property, which was some money. She'd been arrested on an unrelated incident. She felt that the police took her money. She went to the police station to get her money. They said, we don't have it. She became enraged, went to the thrift store, stole a knife, and then stabbed the first kind of vulnerable person she can find, which was Julian Wood, a 3-year-old. That, in his view, is a person who is just enraged and knows what they're doing and knows what they're doing is wrong and is not necessarily so caught up in the depths of schizophrenia that she does not understand and nor appreciate the difference between right and wrong. My prediction on this case is I don't think a jury is going to walk this woman at all. I don't think you stab a 3-year-old to death in front of their own mother and you're going to get a very kind reception from jurors. That's tomorrow. On Tuesday, which is also tomorrow, if you understand how the week works, Christina Formella will be back in court. Remember her? This is the woman out of Downers Grove, Illinois, who has been initially was charged with 2 counts of aggravated SA and 1 count of SA of a minor. She was having an ongoing affair with a 15-year-old boy at the school that she taught at. They added 52 additional charges because this was ongoing on 45 separate different occasions. There's her with her husband, Michael Formella, who's standing by her side through all of this. These encounters took place both at the school and at her own home. It was all discovered by his mother, who saw text messages from her, including such hits as, quote, "I love having sex with you." And she also kept some sort of diary about their encounters on her phone. No trial date has been set for that, but she'll be back in court, like I said, tomorrow. Teresa Robinson, thank you so much for becoming a YouTube member. After hearing all of these awful cases, Teresa says, I'm going to become a member there. So did Never Forget Cody Hardwick. Welcome aboard, both of you. I hope you guys enjoy it. I think you will. We put a lot of work into our membership program. On Wednesday, Courtney Clenney's back in court. Courtney Clenney, the OnlyFans influencer, model, whatever you want to call her, she had filed a motion with her defense attorney saying that the prosecution illegally accessed documents in an iCloud account. These were privileged communications, discussions about this defense strategy, a young blood violation. If you know, you know. They failed to preserve exculpatory evidence, which was apparently some photographs taken by a civilian witness by the name of, oh, I didn't write that down. We don't need to share that person's name. This is a quote from the motion. Access that the government accessed privileged communications between attorneys and their clients, which occurred after her incarceration. These communications took place in a group text titled Team Courtney. That's pretty bad if the government was accessing a text group entitled Team Courtney, involving their attorneys, paralegals, investigators, Kim and Deborah, who are her mother, and Courtney Clenney prior to her arrest. Bad stuff. We'll see how the judge handles it. She is going to be back in court to argue this motion on Wednesday, and trial is set for December 1st in her case. She's been in jail for a long time. The judge has not granted her bail. Subi Sue has been a member for 7 months. Thank you, Subi Sue. Says, love your channel. We love you right back. Thank you for all your support. Decarlos Brown, the man who's accused of murdering Irina Zarutska. This is really stretching the limits of the word accused and alleged when we all saw it took place on videotape. There's a still from this horrific murder that took place. She was a Ukrainian refugee, only 23 years old. It took place back in August in Charlotte on a commuter train. She was just scrolling on her phone. They had no, he had been sitting behind her for 4.5 minutes with no interaction. He stands up, stabs her in the throat 3 times, and she dies on the scene alone and scared. And it's horrific. He's been charged with first-degree murder. He had been arrested 14 times prior, and everybody's saying, what in the world was he doing out on the street? He's going to be back in court, like I said, on Thursday for a status hearing for his case. Really horrific. Horrible, just evil, says Pammy. I couldn't agree more. Orange Rose has been a member for a month, saying, wishing peace for us all, no matter how many cameras, phones, etc. It does not seem to dissuade people from these evil acts. Prayers for humanity. Indeed, Orange Rose. Thank you for that. Speaking of horrible acts against humanity, Jake and Rebecca Haro will also be back in court on Thursday. They are now accused of murdering their little baby, Emmanuel Haro. What kind of human filth do you got to be to murder your own baby? He went missing on August 14th out of Yucaipa, California, and he's still missing. The DA, Riverside DA Mike Hestron, said, quote, we believe baby Emmanuel was subjected to abuse over time, and because of that abuse, he succumbed to his injuries. So not only did they murder him, but they likely made his life incredibly miserable for the 7 months that he was on this earth, and then he finally succumbed to his injuries. Heartbreaking, horrific. They're back in court on Thursday. There's been a lot of talk in this case about potential. Becky B says, human filth is putting it so politely. Well, thank you. I try to keep it G-rated around here. Visit our after hours programming where you can hear my real thoughts on all of this. But there's talk on this case about potential plea deal. I don't see it. What are they going to plead to? Life without parole? Great. If you'll take that, we'll go ahead and let you plead to that. I don't see a prosecutor entertaining anything on this. Unless there's some sort of proof problems in this case, I happily take this to trial. Where is baby Emmanuel, says Emily Flotilla. Speak up, you two. Yeah, if there's any chance, by the way, well, now that we've said that and you reminded me of that, if there's any chance of any kind of a plea deal here, it's going to have to do with them telling where the baby's at, that he can have a proper burial and funeral. Just horrific. Next in our parade of awfulness is Matthew Farwell, also on Thursday. This is the case out of Massachusetts. He is accused federally for murdering Sandra Birchmore, who was only 23 years old and was pregnant at the time. This took place in February of 2021. Initially, it went down as a suicide. They all said that she, a woman who was about to give birth and very excited about that, took her own life and hung herself. But then by 2024, the feds got involved and they arrested Matthew Farwell, who was a police officer who had been having apparently an ongoing relationship with her for 10 years. She was 23 when she died. You do the math for how long that had been taking place. He was 15 years her senior. Jojo Tink RN says, this dirtbag is putting it lightly. You are absolutely right. Another slime bucket, says Subi Sue. Interestingly enough, DNA results showed that he was not the father of the child. So again, another young person who lived pretty much kind of an abusive life for 10 years and then was finally killed by people who are more concerned about their own reputations, that they're willing to kill someone. He's back in court on Thursday. This is a federal case. We're not going to get a whole bunch of news and transparency about this. It's unfortunate. This is the federal trial. Tracy Needham, perfect timing on that question. So we will follow it and give you as much as we can about it, but it being fed on the Fed track, it's going to be difficult. No shortage of scumbags, says Tiff Knox. That's true. We should call this Monday show Parade of Scumbags. Next up, Shanna Gardner and Mario Fernandez. They will be back in court on Friday. They are accused of orchestrating the murder for hire of Jared Brightigan. They hired a man by the name of Henry Tenon to kill him back in February of 2022. It was all over custody and divorce and everything else. They ambushed him in the middle of the night, in the middle of the road, and shot him to death in front of his 2-year-old baby daughter, who now has the memory of daddy being hurt. And I hope that she never remembers that and doesn't know the horror that she lived through that night. A lot of discovery in this case. It's a death penalty case. The most recent thing is that the defense has objected to certain evidence being released publicly ahead of time. The judge actually agreed with that. It has to do with tattoos of photographs of tattoos on Gardner and jailhouse calls that are irrelevant to the actual guilt phase of the trial, but may become relevant if there is a potential penalty phase. The judge, who I like this judge, Judge London Kite, said that she would withhold those specific materials from the public until the jury begins deliberations in any penalty phase, should one be required, or the jury is discharged having reached a verdict, whichever occurs earlier. So some stuff we're not going to learn about unless this goes to penalty phase. Trial is set for, mark your calendars, August of 2026. Death penalty case out of Florida. We have a case notes on this, by the way. If you want to learn more about the Shanna Gardner case, please check out our case notes. We did a lot of work on it. We're maybe going to do some updates on it, but you can get all the details on this case. And I should have told you too. Did I miss it? I think I did. Yeah, we also have a case notes on the Kouri Richins case. We'll put both of the links on those to those cases in the notes shown in the. I don't know. What do? We attach it somewhere so that you guys can find it. Caitlin's shaking her head at me, saying, "Just get it over with, Ritter. Nobody wants to hear it anymore." All right, last one. Jonathan Rinderknecht. He is the man who has been charged out of right here in Los Angeles for causing the Palisades fire, which destroyed hundreds of homes and took the life of 12 people. What they believe is that on January 1st, soon after midnight, he lit the Lockman fire. That fire was put out by firefighters, so they believed. What they now believe is that it continued to smolder in the grass and the root system of the trees. And then when we had a flare-up in winds on January 7th, it ignited the Palisades fire, which was one of the biggest natural disasters. I don't even know if you call it a natural disaster. One of the biggest disasters here in the Los Angeles area. He has been charged with federal destruction of property by means of fire. He's looking at 20 years for that. Look at that devastation. Look at that. Just absolute neighborhoods brought to the ground. I've got friends who lost homes, family members who lived near there, and they just say it's still like this. I mean, they've cleaned it up, but it's just neighborhood, street after street of nothingness. Apparently that night he's got French family. He speaks French. He was listening to a French rap song on repeat the night that he lit the fire, which the video for that song has images of fires. He was kind of obsessed, sort of a pyromaniac. He had AI generated images on his phone of fires taking place near cities. Kind of a weird guy. Kind of obviously had some issues. And it remains to be seen whether or not he will be charged with murder. So that is everything that is coming up this week in about an hour. Look at that. Perfect timing. All right, we've got some announcements for you. But before we get to those announcements, please take a look at this. I just wanted to share with you a story that happened to me at CrimeCon this year. If you're a follower of this channel, you already know, but I lost temporarily my passport. I've got it back now. Thank you very much. But while it was gone, it is such an unnerving feeling to know that your personal information could be in the hands of another person. But what brought me a little peace of mind was knowing that I had identity theft insurance through Aura, our first ever sponsor. If you've ever wondered how scammers get your information and why your inbox is full of junk, this is why. Data brokers collect and sell your information without your permission, and they make billions doing it. And that is why we are proud to partner with Aura. Aura does the hard work for you. They scrub your information from the internet, protecting it from those shady sites and making sure that your information is kept safe. But it's more than just data removal. It's also about digital security. That's why I felt such comfort even when my passport was lost. You get dark web alerts, bank fraud monitoring, a VPN, antivirus, a password manager, and up to $5 million in identity theft insurance, all in one app. Try Aura today, free for 14 days at aura.com/courtroom confidential. It's free to try. It protects you and it helps support the show. Please check it out. I got one question for you, sir. How does Aura help you not lose your passport? That's what I want to know. That sounds like the root of your problem, sir, is you lost your passport. Please check out thecourtroomconfidential.com. That's our website. We put a lot of work into it. Why do you want to go there? Well, one, every Sunday we do Sunday Fun Day. And if you want to leave us a message that I will answer live, you can go to thecourtroomconfidential.com and click on leave us a message. If you want to know about membership, we've seen a lot of people receive memberships and sign up today. If you want to learn more about it, the best way to do that is go to thecourtroomconfidential.com and click on become a member. Learn about all of our different membership tiers and merch. What am I wearing tonight? Pepto-Bismol pink, says never forget Cody Hardwick. Lipstick pink tea. Yeah, I guess it's lipstick pink. Inky pinky, says Bice. Not your ordinary shrimp, says Bice again. Flaming flamingo, says Afton. What is it? What is it, Tiff? This is actually one of my favorite colors that we have. While she's doing that, go to thecourtroomconfidential.com and Crunchberry. Is this really Crunchberry? I love this. Crunchberry. Go to thecourtroomconfidential.com and go click on the shop. You can see all of the different colors we have, all of the different styles we have. You can see the tumblers that we have. Can you see that? Let's get juiced. Are you guys juiced, by the way? You can see the Pinot on the go tumbler that we have. Also says, let's get juiced. This is fun. Talk about stocking stuffer. By the way, holidays coming up, including one of my favorite mugs. We got a bunch of stuff, where's those notebooks? Really great stuff on there. We put a lot of work into it. Really, what was that last one? Oh, I missed it. All right. That's at the Real Lawyers Wear Pink. Thank you. Just a crazy Jen. Maybe that's what we should call it. Real Lawyers Wear Pink. What did you miss this weekend? One, we had the weekly roundup. We talked about Kouri Richins and Mark Sanchez and Bionca Ellis. And you also may have missed, that's up on the website, by the way, on our YouTube channel. You also may have missed our Sunday Fun Day. Sunday Fun Day, we got into even more stuff. We talked about Aaron Spencer and Madeline McCann and Wendy Adelson. I love Sunday Fun Day because it's like the universe is open. Cases from the 18th century we're talking about. Go to thecourtroomconfidential.com and leave us a question and we will answer it for you on Sunday. What's coming up this week? I already told you on Wednesday. Stay tuned. Wednesday Night Live with Joel Waldman from Surviving the Survivor. We're going to be talking about Donna Adelson, Courtney Clenney, probably Ellen Greenberg. Always a great conversation with Joel at 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern. Friday, we are doing our live weekly roundup at 2 p.m. Pacific, 5 p.m. Eastern. We're trying this live thing. I think it's going well. We want to see what you guys think. We're doing a little experiment. So that will be live on Friday at 2 p.m. Pacific, 5 p.m. Eastern. Set your calendars. And then this Sunday, no Sunday Fun Day. Sad tears all around. But instead, the reason we're doing that is we have a very special return to our conversation series with Scott Rouse from the behavior panel. He is the fourth king we were missing to fill out our royal flush. We sat down with him. Scott, by the way, an amazing story. So many things I did not know about this man. And I'm finding them out as we're talking. So check it out this Sunday at 9 a.m. Pacific, noon Eastern. It will be a live premiere of our interview with Scott Rouse. Thank you to your beautiful wife for being persistent with Scott Rouse. He's a sweetheart, kind and funny. Can't wait. It's a great, you're going to love it. It's a great conversation. That's this Sunday. And then CrimeCon is coming up May 29th through 31st, 2026 in Las Vegas. If you guys want to be there, we're going to be there. We'll give you 10% off if you enter the word courtroom at checkout, all caps, all in one word. Hope to see you all there. In the meantime, let me give a special thanks to Petal Pash, Annie L., Jenny Elizabeth, Dana RT, Mar Matt, Peaceful Empowerment Works Network, Irish Amy, Regina Schuback, Amanda RN and NC, Molly G, Julie Hunter, Teresa Bell, Jay Thomas, Donna G, and Caroline. Thank you guys so much for becoming new members of the Courtroom Confidential membership program. Big thanks to Afton, Shigal, Kathy, and therapists you know for being our mods and helping take care of all of us. Big thank you to Kaylin for putting up with me this evening and making this all run so smoothly, and to Tiffany for being the best thing that ever happened to me. Thank you guys for spending your Monday night with us, and we will see you all Wednesday. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.